Hey everybody, welcome to another Digital Dungeon Master video. I'm really having a fun time getting back into the swing of things. And the last couple of days I haven't posted a video, but I've had some ideas really churning in my head. And I really contemplated hard the last couple of days whether I was going to make this video or not. But I decided to. I've been talking a lot about my basic Dungeons and Dragons games. We're going to be playing every other Friday night and every other Saturday night for a basic Dungeons and Dragons game every night, and that's going to be going on for the foreseeable future. And we're going to finish a complete module. We're going to start with the B-Series modules, and we're going to work every single B-Series module. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. But it's really good to be playing basic Dungeons and Dragons again. And it's been so fun to reread books and modules and remember all the memories from when I was a kid. But like I said, I've been pondering the last couple of days about making this video, but I decided to go ahead and do it. And the reason why I've been pondering is because of the video that I made last week that talked about how I'm going to run my basic Dungeons and Dragons games. And there was a lot of positive feedback. There was also some constructive criticism, which, hey, I'm all about that, and I like constructive criticism. But some of the comments were a little unwarranted, simply because I don't think the folks that were commenting on basic D&D, I don't think they actually knew how the game worked. So, and the comments were on the optional rules, like the optional skill check system in the rule cyclopedia, and the optional weapon mastery system that's in the rule cyclopedia. It's nothing that I made up, but I guess some people thought that I made those optional rules up, but I didn't. But this video is about optional rules. So now I'm going full board into talking about optional rules, because the more that I thought about it, basic Dungeons and Dragons is probably the tough, and I'm going to go out on a limb saying this, basic D&D is probably the toughest Dungeons and Dragons game. I mean, especially from the start. Basic D&D is relentless. It is ruthless. And, that's what I really remember from being a kid, was how many characters I went through. Holy cow. But that's all part of the game. But the game has evolved a lot since then, throughout the editions. Classes become more customizable. Races and classes are separate. Lots of feats, lots of spells, lots of options, lots of class features. Basic D&D isn't like that. It's as advertised. It is basic D&D. Why do you think Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition and Second Edition were created? I'm sure it probably had something to do with the player saying, hey, we want more character customization. We want more classes. We want more stuff that we can do with our characters. So I've been pondering a lot about this the last couple of days. And when I've been thinking about this, a really legitimate concern has come up for me. And this concern is for my players. Now, I know that I love basic Dungeons and Dragons. I can play it and not get bored. Hell, I played it for 15 years, and I have a level 31 legitimate cleric that's basic D&D. And I know that I won't get bored with it. But my concern is for my players. Most of my players are from the 3.5, 4th edition, and 5th edition era. And there's lots of character customization, especially in like 3.5 and 4th edition. There's so much customization. A lot of it's optional in 5e with feats and ability scores and stuff, but, it concerns me. I've heard a couple of comments from my players, which I know they didn't mean anything negative by it, but they're like, this is all the fighter can do, or this is all this class can do. So, that kind of resonated with me, and I'm thinking, man, I love this game so much. and I want to play it. I want to play every module, and that's why I'm transitioning my whole entire channel and all of the content that I create to BECMI, or BECMI, Basic Expert Companion Mastering Immortal. That's why I want to play Basic Dungeons and Dragons. I want to run all 155 of these books that I got behind me. I want to use them all. I want to, use everything. And I'm going to do that over the next couple of years probably. But if Basic D&D is straight out of the box set, the red box back there, is it going to keep my players engaged? Is it going to keep them wanting more every week? I know it all, guys, I know it has to do about story and all that stuff, and we're going to do a lot of role playing, and we're going to have a lot of fun, but from a character customization standpoint, this worries me. I mean, honestly, it worries me because my players, they love to customize. They love to customize their characters. So when I decided to start, playing Basic Dungeons and Dragons again and run some games, the first thing I thought of was, man, we're going to use the optional skill checks and the optional weapon masteries. It adds a lot to the character customization because, honestly, as advertised, Basic D&D just has attacks and saving throws. That's it. Nothing else, except for fighters and maybe some of the demi-humans and the mystic. They get like smash and stuff, but that's not until like level 9 and level 12. Is your character going to live that long? I mean, honestly? Feats get horrible skill checks to get a 10% chance at level 1 to do this, 10% chance, 87% climb walls. I mean, that's nice. I mean, what are you going to do? But I remember... my friend playing a thief as a kid, I mean, it was just brutal for him. But I understand that is Basic D&D. It's not like D&D 5th edition where you get double proficiency on skill checks at level 1 or level 2 or whatever it is. And, proficiency bonus and all this other stuff. So I've really been thinking, are my players for a long-term campaign, are they going to be engaged enough? So I think the weapon mastery and I think the skill check system helped. But I just don't I simply just don't know. I think it will. But like I said, I've been brainstorming a lot the past couple of days, and that's why I haven't put out a video actually. Plus I've been finishing up my Basic Dungeons and Dragons modules as well. I've put together 5 massive modules. And I'll talk about those. I'm going to show those in another video. I'm not going to get into that here, but I'm thinking, how can I keep my players more engaged? Just besides the role playing part of it and the story part of the game, that's all fine and dandy. But let's face it, playing role playing games is all about being powerful. It's about being something that you can't be in real life, pretty much. Let's just face it. That's what it is, man. So what kind of ways can we spruce up Basic Dungeons and Dragons with some more house rules? I mean, I've already incorporated one house rule. This is the only house rule that I currently have in my games, and it will be the only house rule that I have for the foreseeable future, and that's the utilization of spell slots, like you would in like 4th edition or 5th edition, where if you're a wizard, you can take your first level spell slots and just cast any first level spells in your spell book. Or if you're a cleric, you can cast any of your first level spells. I mean, there's not 50 spells like there is in other editions. I mean, there's 13 magic user spells and 8 cleric spells for every level. I mean, and 4 druid spells. I mean, that's nothing. But that was one thing that I hated as a kid. Playing a cleric, I had to memorize nothing but Cure Light Wound spells, because that's what you do in Basic D&D. You memorize your spells. So if I have 3 first level spells as a cleric, I'm going to memorize nothing but Cure Light Wounds, because I got 6 other murder hobos that are kicking in doors and just kicking butt and taking names. I can't take other cool spells like Hold Person and Read Magic and Detect Magic, and so I can't do that because I need all them as heals. But what happens if I don't use all my heals? And I could have done like a read magic or detect magic. So that's why I house ruled spell slots as you can cast anything in your spell book, which is cool. I think that's a great house rule. And I got a couple of old school players too, like Check for Traps and Pernicious Pilfer. They played Basic way back in the day. And they even said that was a great modification for the Basic rule set. It doesn't break anything in the game. I mean, it doesn't break anything. I mean, it's you're using the same spells. You're just not dedicating your 2 spell slots to 1 magic missile or 1 sleep spell. You can do whatever you want on the fly, like in 5e. So I'm definitely going to stick with that. That's going to be a permanent house rule in my Basic D&D games. So that's not going anywhere. The second thing that there's 2 things that I've really contemplated on. And the first thing that I've been thinking about incorporating into Basic Dungeons and Dragons, and and to kind of rewind a little bit on this, I'm not changing the core mechanics of the game. I'm not changing any of the core mechanics except for spell slots, because I just hated that as a kid playing D&D. And I know if you guys probably play D&D, I know that was part of the rules, but I know that other players didn't like that either. So that's why I did that. But I'm not changing any of the mechanics. The only thing that I may change is mass combat. Just because there's like a 25-page chapter on mass combat, and it's a bowl of spaghetti. It's just all mixed up, and it doesn't make sense. I mean, it does make a little bit of sense, but I think it could be simplified and streamlined and a lot of stuff taken out. So I may do that later on down the line. Because I want my players at higher levels, I want them to build strongholds. I want to do mass combat. But the way mass combat is in Basic D&D, it's a train wreck. So it really is. But it's not about the core mechanics. This whole optional rules, it's not about the core mechanics of the game. It's about character customization. Because it is Basic D&D, and like I said, it's as advertised. So the first thing I've been thinking about and pondering about is, man, attribute scores are so low. I mean, let's face it, if you guys watch my character creation video or the streams where we rolled our stats, they were piss poor. I mean, there were people that we had players that rolled 3. So I gave them a minimum of a 9 score. So at least you don't get a negative modifier to start off with. I know that's part of the rules and stuff, but we still rolled 3d6 straight on down the line. Strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. We rolled down the line. Some players don't even have anything higher than a 10. Rob Toohey with his halfling. I think he's got the worst stats of both of my games. He's got 3 10s and 3 9s. He doesn't have a single bonus on any attribute score. I mean, is that going to be fun for him? I'm sure it will be. The character will be fun for him. But wouldn't it be fun to have maybe some attributes raise up every once in a while? So I've been brainstorming, like I said. And the first thing that I've thought about doing is an attribute score ability boost, basically. Like, how you have in 4th edition and 5th edition and 3.5, you got the ability score improvement. Why can't we do an attribute score improvement in Basic Dungeons and Dragons? They're called attributes, so we'll just rename it attribute score improvement. I mean, why not? So the first thing I started thinking about, I'm like, well, how often is this going to happen? And, there's 36 levels in Basic Dungeons and Dragons. 36 levels. The most levels in any Basic Dungeons in any Dungeons and Dragons edition. 36 levels. And then you hit Immortal after 30. And then it just keeps going. So I'm thinking every 4 levels at level 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36, I'm thinking about doing an attribute score improvement. And That is a total of 9 attribute points to level 36. Only 9. Is it game breaking? No, I don't think so. It may be more advantageous for people that have better scores that are rolled. They may be able to get something to 18 or maybe 2 scores to 18. But that's the maximum score you can have in Basic Dungeons and Dragons anyways, an 18 score with a +3 modifier. That's nothing, man. That's not like 3 and 4 where it's like, +30, +40, +50. But I get it. The numbers in those games are so much larger. It's like D&D 5th edition. Do you really need proficiency in D&D 5e? Do you really need, by the time it's all said and done, do you need that +6? The numbers are so low in Basic Dungeons and Dragons to begin with. And the numbers are low in Basic Dungeons and Dragons. So I think an attribute score improvement every 4 levels would be pretty nice for players. Just let them raise up 1 attribute by 1 to a maximum of 18. Because you can't go above 18 until you become an immortal. And then when you become an immortal in box set 5, I think the maximum is +100 to, or 100 in an ability score or an attribute score. So that's what I'm thinking about. Giving the, attribute score improvement. Every 4 levels, you'll get 9 for a total of 9 attribute points to put wherever you want. I don't think that's game breaking. I really don't. And the numbers are low in Basic D&D. But no, I don't think it's going to be too low. I don't think in fact, I'm sorry, I don't think it's going to be too much. I think it'll work. Now, the second thing that I've been thinking about for another way to customize your character in Basic Dungeons and Dragons is with a feat system. And I'm not talking about, pulling your shoes off and having your smelly feet. No, not that type of feat, but feat systems. Like in 3, 3.5, 4th, and 5th edition. Not optional, but standard. So would a feat system work in Basic Dungeons and Dragons? I think it could. I don't see why it wouldn't. But then you got to think about, how often do you want to give these feats out to your players? Because there is 36 levels. So what and how strong do you want these feats to be? Obviously, if you're trying to keep the game in check and you don't want things to get out of hand, you don't want crazy feats that are +10 to this and +5 to that and +2 to this ability score. I don't want to add any kind of attribute bonuses with feats, because that's what the ability score improvements are for, or the attribute score improvements. So you'll just get a flat out 9, and then if you get any kind of magic weapons or permanent bonuses for anything like that, then that's fine. But how would we do feats? So I was thinking. Once again, there's 36 levels in Basic. Most games, excluding 5e, unless you take like the optional human feat that will give you a feat at first level, I'm thinking about giving the players a feat at first level. And then give them a feat every 3 levels after that. So it'll be 1, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, and 36. That's a total of 13 feats. That does sound like a lot, but it's 36 levels. And how many characters are you going to get to 36 level? Even though we are going to play through all the different, tiers of play, you still can do every single module and you're not going to hit Immortal because there's just not enough content. So we're going to have to adjust characters from time to time and maybe just create immortal characters and just blow up New York City or try to take, Greece by storm or Rome or something. That would be awesome to do, but I'm not worried about that. That's way down the line. But feats, 13 feats. You may be saying, wow, that really does sound like a lot. But what kind of feats do we want to do? What kind of bonuses? I mean, if you keep the bonuses at a minimum of like a +1, I think it would work. I mean, that would be 13 improvements on a multitude of different things. Your skills, maybe something to do with your weapon masteries, maybe to do something with your saving throws, maybe a bonus to attack, maybe a bonus to damage. I mean, you can get really creative. You can have a lot of prerequisites for other feats, but they're all minimum feats. You know, I mean, you don't get a lot of spell slots in basic Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe you can have a feat that'll give a cleric an extra first level spell slot. Wow, that's not game breaking. But then you can have that as a requirement to take a level 2 spell slot, and et cetera, and et cetera. So if they want the extra spell slots, they're going to blow most of their feats on extra spell slots, which you can only upgrade basically 1 per spell tier. I mean, that's just one idea. You know, you can have the rogues maybe get a one-time plus 5% to pick locks or find traps or something like that. I mean, the clerics turn undead. Maybe you can give them a feat that will give them an extra die of undead turnage. I mean, not affect the roll, but actually maybe affect the amount of hit dice that they can destroy or turn. Maybe a +1 to hit. Maybe make them weapon specific or something. Maybe give a feat that'll give +5 hit points. Do you want to do that feat multiple times, or do you just want to limit once? Because there's not a lot of hit points in D&D 5e and D&D Basic. Most, especially with the demi-humans, they only go up to a certain level. Usually 9 or 12 is where they end. So would feats be cool to, give a minimal amount of HP? Maybe a +1 to a specific saving throw. Maybe you can add a +1 to your poison saving throw, or paralysis or turn to stone. Very minimal bonuses. That's this whole brainstorm idea that I have. I want to keep it minimal. I don't want to break the game. I just want to make character customization a little bit more robust than just swinging a sword and doing saving throws. Oh, and opening up, doors with a 5 or 6 in a roll. That could be a feat too. Get a +1 bonus to opening doors. So instead of opening door on a 5 or 6, you can open a door on a 4, 5, 6. Is that game breaking? It's not. I mean, it's really not game breaking. To me, it's not. So, attribute scores can't go over 18. 9 points. 13 feats, minimal bonuses. But it's a way for the players to be more engaged with their characters. Because I know they'll have fun role-playing, but like I said, my concern is characters. Because my players love to customize their characters. And the feats, you can have a list of general feats where all the classes can take these feats, and then you can have class-specific feats where only rogues can take rogue stuff. Not rogues, but thieves. Thieves can take thieves. Elves can take elf stuff. Dwarves can take dwarf stuff. And keep everything, kind of categorized. General feats or general skills, if you want to call them skills instead of feats. But I think if you keep it minimum, keep everything a +1 or -1, maybe a permanent AC lower, or maybe give a feat to where wizards can wear leather armor or padded armor. Instead of having a 10 AC, maybe they can have a 9 AC or an 8 AC. Is that game breaking? I mean, you're going to get pummeled anyway as a mage. It doesn't matter if you do have leather armor. It's only a couple, AC better than where you were going to be in the first place. So minimal bonuses, that's what I'm thinking about. Very minimal, upgrades with the feats or skills if you want. I don't think skills, because there's already the skill check system. So I would probably say feats or maybe features or something like that. But I think that could work. I really do. I mean, I want to play basic D&D for a while, and I want to get more familiar with the numbers to see how the numbers are just generated. And maybe in a couple months I can come up with something. But I've got a lot of ideas already wrote down. I've got 2 pages front and back of feats, general feats, class specific stuff. I think that would be good. And the last thing that I was kind of really, this isn't like a guaranteed thing, but this is more like more choices. It doesn't, it's not, like I said, this isn't changing the mechanics of the game. It's just it's making character creation a little bit more robust. And the last thing I was thinking about was maybe creating some more classes. Because as you know, in basic D&D, there are the humans and then there are the demi-humans. There's what? The cleric, the fighter, the magic user, the thief for the humans. There's also a mystic and a druid. You can't be a druid until level 9, though. Level 8 or 9. You got to be a cleric first. And then there's the demi-humans. There's a dwarf, the elf, and the halfling. That's it. There's no choose your own class, choose your own, choose a different race. It's all bundled up into one nice little package. So what I was thinking is maybe down the line, create some of the, create a gnome. I mean, that would be fun. I'm sure somebody would like to play a gnome. Why not? Keep it with the, the canon of, basic D&D, because most of my games are going to be in Thunder Rift or the known world, which is Mystara, and Hollow World. But there's more classes in those games. Like if you get the 5 Shires Gazetteer, once your halfling gets to level 9, I believe, then he can become a sheriff, and he gets a lot more cool stuff. The Shadow Elves. There's like a Wokani, which is I believe it's like a shadow elf, which is a dark elf, basically. Like a wizard. Then there's like I think there's like a shadow elf assassin. And then there's like a gladiator from Theatis. So there's a lot of other classes that we can incorporate also. But I was thinking about creating a couple of the iconic classes, like maybe a gnome, or maybe the bard, or maybe a barbarian. I mean, there's berserkers in basic D&D. Why not just give the class a berserker feature? +2 to attacks, and -2 to AC. Basically just like it is in every other edition. So why not? I mean, not going into all the totems and this and that. Just create classes that are in line with what is in the core books. Nothing fancy. No DM's Guild stuff that's just so outlandishly crazy. That's why I don't use DM's Guild stuff for 5e, because most of that stuff is just absolutely crazy. I just want to create simple things that will just kind of spruce up the game. Why not? So spell slots. That's going to be from here on out in my basic D&D games. That's not even going to change. But what do you guys think about attribute score improvements every 4 levels? And what do all of you think about a feat system every 3 levels in basic D&D? Like I said, I know it's not part of the basic D&D game. I know, and I get that. But I want to keep my players engaged. And I think a little bit more character customization besides just weapon mastering skill checks. I think with the spell slots, the attribute score improvements, and I think the feat system, I don't think it's going to break the game. I mean, it can always be tested, and if it's too much, then it can always be cut out. But what do you guys think of my brainstorming ideas? Honestly, I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, and I know you will. And I'm looking forward to seeing what all of you say. So let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about all these possible optional rules. Remember, I want to keep it minimum. I don't want to break any of the core mechanics. I don't want to add 1,000 new spells or nothing like that. I just want to keep the spells. There's more new spells in a lot of the other books in D&D. They just never made it into the rule cyclopedia. So, I mean, those are going to be used down the line as well. So, Let me know, guys. Seriously, please give me your opinions down in the comment section down below. I'm really, kind of interested to. Well, I'm actually really interested to see what you guys say. So, all right, everybody. Thank you guys for watching. I've rambled on 30 minutes. That's long enough. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And until next video, everybody, happy gaming, stay safe, and keep using the awesome Fantasy Grounds virtual tabletop program. See you, everybody.